I'm Diane Chrisman, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Development and Chief Program Officer at the Cable Center. Many of you know the Cable Center solely as the stewards of our industry's great legacy. Today, I'm actually going to be talking about the Cable Center as the connector of people and ideas to advance innovation. In 2017, the center piloted the first course of our Intrapreneurship Academy. Since then, we've taken big steps to expand our offerings. Today, my colleague Janice Silver and I will be talking innovation and entrepreneurship. Hi, Janice, how are you?
Hi, Diane, I'm great. I look forward to this conversation.
I think everybody needs to know that in addition to serving as Vice President of Marketing and Programs, you're also the Director of the Intrapreneurship Academy.
Yes, something I very much enjoy and love talking about.
Oh, good. Janice, I think it would be really helpful to start this off with you explaining the difference between intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship. As you and I know, every time we say intrapreneurship, everybody wants to correct us to entrepreneurship. So what's the difference?
Yes, including our word program who keeps trying to autocorrect me. I will talk about the differences between intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship. And there are also similarities. Both intrapreneurs and entrepreneurs are passionate idea people who are trying to build something better. Entrepreneurs spend a lot of time trying to raise money and sell people on their vision. It's kind of like they have a if I build it, you will come mentality. Intrapreneurs, they're not so much trying to raise money, they need to convince leadership to give them resources instead. And their dream and vision is not their own. It's more like, if I build it, will it align with corporate objectives and provide value for the organization, which doesn't roll quite so smoothly off the tongue. Yes, and I'd also like to dispel the myth that a lot of people feel like entrepreneurs have done the most groundbreaking innovations that are out there today. And in fact, there was a study done by Kahan Krippendorf. He is an entrepreneurship thought leader where he looked at 30 of the most groundbreaking innovations over the past 30 years. And what he found was more than 70% of those innovations were actually conceived, developed, and commercialized within large companies, which are, in effect, intrapreneurs. So that it's important to understand the contributions and the potential contributions that intrapreneurs give to organizations.
I didn't know that. That surprises me on one hand, but on the other hand, it makes a lot of sense. So the other thing before we go any further, I think it's important to note for everybody is how the Intrapreneurship Academy describes innovation. What is innovation?
Well, that's a good point because innovation is a buzzword that you hear a lot. And I think when most people think of innovation, to them it means the development of new products and technology. And that's part of it. But IA has a broader definition. We define innovation as something different that provides value. Now, that something can be anything. It can be a product, yes, but it can be a process, a new revenue model, a new market, for example. And the different can be new to the world, new to the industry, new to your organization, or it doesn't even have to be new. It can be something that's less expensive, something that's faster and more efficient, or provides better satisfaction. But the thing that really makes it entrepreneurship is the last part of the definition, and that's the value. It has to add value. If not, it's just an invention. So that value, it can be something that's considered a hard value, like increased revenue or decreased cost, but it could also be a soft value, like something is done better, more efficiently, higher NPS scores, you have it. So because it's something different that provides value, we believe that any department or function can innovate so that IA is relevant throughout an organization.
I love the fact that we have such a broad definition of innovation. Mm-hmm. So basically, we're really teaching a different approach to problem solving and thinking. In a nutshell, what's the big deal?
In organizations, lots of people have great ideas. But the way that it usually gets communicated is somebody has a great idea, They blurt it out to their leadership, and their leadership comes back and has a million questions, and they shoot holes in what they're doing. The person that had the idea maybe can't answer them or gets discouraged and their ideas die. So with IA, we teach individuals a process and a mindset that's different, that helps them really think through and create good ideas. The first step is we don't start with an idea. Actually, we have them start with a problem, because one of the most common reasons why innovation fails is that you're solving for the wrong problem. The problem you think you're solving for isn't even the problem. So the first thing we do is have people go through an exercise to really understand why something is a problem. Once you get there, you really need to create a solution. As I mentioned before, understand the value that it adds to your organization, understand how and who is involved in implementing the solution, what the risks are, and what you need to do about it. So we take them through this process, and if your idea survives until the end, you then can take this fully baked concept to your leadership, and then you become, as an entrepreneur, a partner to your organization and not just a squeaky wheel.
I love that. And I want to point out that one of the important pieces of the process here is the financial piece. You can have the coolest, greatest idea, but if it's going to cost $1 bazillion more to do something that normally costs $100, it really doesn't make sense, even if it's the coolest gizmo or the neatest idea. And I love the fact that we're asking people to think about the financial piece with this process.
Yeah, that's where the breakdown often happens with some of the engineers that have been through the class. They're like, but this is cool, it's newer, it's better. And we say, well, you have to kind of think about, well, you know, what kind of resources are involved, what sort of added value is it giving, because that's what the leadership wants to hear. And if they don't get that answer, you're not speaking the language of innovation.
Right. And full disclosure too, Janice as director has sat through 10 classes. And Janice and I, along with some of our colleagues, we're also graduates of the program too. One of the really strong pieces of the process and the program is starting with the challenge or the problem, right? Because, I mean, this was such a hard mindset for me, walking in there pretty convinced that I knew what the problem is and how I was going to solve for it. And that's like the biggest mistake right off the bat.
Yeah, most people kind of Trojan horse their problem in with an actual solution at the same time. So we kind of can see that coming, and we help them break it down. And you go through this process that you're aware of called jobs to be done. And you talk to various people, and you uncover not just the functional jobs or the things that people say they need to have happen, but you figure out the social and emotional, why people make decisions, what they're really, needs to be solved for.
Well, and you and I have talked about this a lot, that it really does require one to think about things in a different way. And it hurts. It's painful. I mean, emotionally and physical to train your brain to think in this entirely different way. So I see the importance of being resilient, nimble, and able to move quickly during the pandemic. It's really changed the way we do business. But even prior to the pandemic, thinking and working like an entrepreneur within an organization was gaining traction and becoming really a prerequisite for movers and shakers. Talk about how this is more than a passing fad and really becoming an expectation in the workplace.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Entrepreneurship, although it's a new concept for many, it's been around for quite a while. And in fact, you may not be aware, but Michael Page, he is an expert in recruitment in the UK. And every year he comes out with his 100 top skills list. And this year, in January of 2020, entrepreneurship was chosen as the number one skill that employers are looking for. What he said was that he talked to thousands of people in order to determine what would be the number one skill. And in this age of disruption, and this was even before the pandemic, people are looking for employees that can make creative decisions and can solve problems that may occur. We just happen to be in that space, and we're very fortunate about that. And then a few months later, now that it's in the middle of the pandemic, there was another study that came out from McKinsey. And what they said was they talked to 200 executives across industries, And 90% of the executives said that they believe that the sea changes that are happening as a result of COVID will change the way that they do business at least over the next 5 years. However, those same executives, only 21% of them believe they have the skills, the resources, and the expertise in-house to actually tackle those problems. So that's a huge gap where entrepreneurship can step in. So we are excited to be able to help organizations within our industry face those challenges.
And that's a perfect segue to talking about the benefits to the company who decides to send their people to the Intrapreneurship Academy, and benefits not only to the company, but also to the students.
Right. So we hope it's a win-win. It should be beneficial both to the person taking it. And of course, we have to add value to the organization because we're being entrepreneurs. So from the viewpoint of the person taking the class, the participant, they will be able to more effectively innovate from within. They'll learn how to be more effective talking to people cross-functionally. And this could really help their careers because they will be presenting solutions instead of problems within their organization. It also helps to engage and retain high performers because a lot of people that really want to contribute but really didn't know how can get itchy and dissatisfied. So we want to help give them the tools so that they're effective and not disenchanted. From the organization's point of view, well, we're hopefully providing them with an army of innovators with the tools, the skills, and the vocabulary for change, especially during these times. We also are building another generation of leaders. So when we talk about succession planning, we're giving them a pipeline of people that can think like a leader and make wise decisions. We're hoping that the more people that invest in learning about how to be an entrepreneur, the organizations win and the people who take the course also do.
So, speaking about being nimble and resilient during the age of COVID, we've made a successful pivot to a virtual format. Can you briefly just take us through what those 8 weeks look like now virtually?
As you know, the class was designed so that it was a hybrid model, in person and virtual. So it had been designed to start out 2 days in person, 6 weeks with remote facilitated learning, and then 2 weeks at the capstone would also be in person. During class 7, the pandemic started, and we had no choice but to quickly pivot, and we moved the capstone virtually, and it actually went very well. So class 8 was our first 100% virtual class, and now we're in class 9, also 100% virtual. It actually is working very well. We shifted some things around so that the 2 full days on either end are just 2 half days, because you cannot ask people to sit for 8 hours in a Zoom call. And so we made those shorter, but we made the remote sessions in the middle longer. So there's more opportunity to share and interact. And in fact, the silver lining has been that we have had people come to the last 2 classes from the UK and Latin America who said they couldn't have come unless it was virtual. That's kind of the silver lining. And it was actually kind of seamless because we had the virtual portion already set up. So we already had the platforms. We already had Zoom and we already had Slack. So the infrastructure was already in place.
I'm glad that you talked about that because really this is a program that appeals to people all over the place. And what we're doing at the Cable Center is unique. And the way that we're I think deploying this is also very unique. We've had people from all over the world come to the Cable Center and take this class, which I love. Talk for just a quick second about who the class is geared to.
The IA is targeted to what we're calling rising leaders and high performers from any department or discipline. As I mentioned before, because of the way we define innovation, we believe it can happen anywhere. We've had people from, products and technology and engineering and software development and marketing and sales and finance and customer experience. And we're looking at people in mid-management, which is sort of manager to senior director, VP level, or individual contributor equivalent. So a lot of different engineering levels that are engineering 2, 3, 4. You don't have to be a manager of people to be a manager of ideas.
I'm also terribly excited about our future plans for the Academy. I know that you're working right now with a leader, a subject matter expert in agility, and we are putting plans together for our next offering, Leading with Agility. Can you give us a little taste of what that's going to look like?
Yeah, so we have the Intrapreneurship Academy that teaches people the process of innovating. But as you well know, each individual person as a performer and as a leader needs to be able to be agile in the face of what's happening, a lot of change, chaos, and uncertainty. So I'm working with Pamela Meyer, who's the author of The Agility Shift, and she is an expert in teaching people how to assess the different skills that they have and shore up their strengths in order to be the most agile person they can be. The class will be completed by the end of third quarter, and we're looking to launch a pilot first quarter 2021.
Very timely. We should also mention Robin Bolton, who is the professor or the dean of our Intrapreneurship Academy as well.
Yes, we have worked very well together. We are now on class 9, and I will tell you that we iterate every single class. So we also consider IA our personal innovation projects, and we are always fine-tuning it and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the people that are out there taking the course.
So people who are interested in registering for the Academy, where do they go?
Please visit intrapreneurshipacademy.org, and you can see on our website, you could sign up for one of the 4 classes we have scheduled for next year. Or if you have people that you would like to send to the class, you can just reserve spots in these classes right now, and you don't have to give us names. Go onto our website, you can read more about it, you can view testimonials, and you can register for spots for 2021.
And also, since we are registering for 2021, we'll have a total of 80 spots, but now we're
almost
signing people up.
Yeah, we're almost half full.
Right.
So there's still plenty of spots, but I would say now is better than later.
Absolutely. Janice, I really appreciate your time, and I am looking forward to when we get to have this conversation around agility and leading with agility. And I will look forward to building out the Academy and the other expansions and offerings that we'll have coming soon. Thanks for your time today.
Visit our website to learn more about IA.